Hello, and welcome back to the Navigating Baby Loss podcast. I'm Jennifer Sen, and I'm a coach for stillbirth moms, and I'm also a stillbirth mom myself. Today's episode is a deeply personal one for me because it's a topic that I struggled so much with. It's a topic that most of my clients struggle with. And so, if you're listening, I would imagine that this is something that you are facing too, and that is guilt. When I lost my twin daughters, the guilt hit me so hard, and I vividly remember the moment that I found out I was pregnant. I saw it. I knew on the sonogram before they even told me because I had already had 2 boys, so I knew what a single pregnancy sonogram looked like, and I knew this did not look like it. And so as soon as we got to the car, I cried. Not happy tears, but tears of shock and fear. I thought, how am I going to manage 2 babies at once? I already had 2 little boys who were very busy. And while I wanted another baby and I was happy about the thought of being pregnant again, the shock of finding out that there were 2 and all of the reality that settled in with that was really overwhelming. So after losing them, that moment replayed in my head over and over, and I blamed myself, wondering if somehow my fear or hesitation led to their deaths. But over time, I've learned to challenge those thoughts, to peel back and face the facts of what really happened and release myself from that guilt. So today we're going to talk about breaking that cycle of guilt because you deserve peace. And I'm here to help you take the first steps toward finding it if you too are suffering from guilt. So I want to start by acknowledging that guilt is such a natural response to stillbirth. When you lose a baby, your brain goes into overdrive trying to make sense of the loss. This is who we are as humans, right? Our brains are designed to find reasoning about every single thing in our life. So it's easy to start blaming yourself and think, what did I do wrong? Did I do something wrong? If I had done this differently, I bet it wouldn't have happened. Or maybe my baby would still be here. For me, that guilt was centered around that reaction to finding out I was carrying twins because I cried, because I was scared because I didn't think I could handle it. And that somehow that message, even though I went 32 weeks and became very happy and very excited and completely as ready as I could be to welcome them, somehow that message got ingrained into my body and it made this happen to them. Maybe it was because I didn't love them enough from that very first moment that it made everything go haywire, or maybe the stress that I felt caused something to go wrong. And maybe you think that too. Maybe there's something in your life that was stressful, or maybe you and your partner weren't getting along for a while, and maybe you had a couple drinks before you knew you were pregnant. Maybe you took a fall. I mean, there's so many possibilities. And the thing that our brain does is try to remember those moments, pick out those moments and say, yeah, that's what it was. And if you had done this one thing differently, you wouldn't be here right now. But here's the thing, that guilt often clouds the reality of what actually happened. The reality is that we live in a world where sometimes things happen that are beyond our control. And no matter how much we wish it to be different, it just can't. And our bodies are designed to do this one thing, to carry babies and deliver them, to be healthy and alive. And sometimes things happen that we don't understand. We have absolutely no control over it. And we all know those people who abuse their bodies, who take more than 1 or 2 drinks, or 3 or 4 before they know they're pregnant, and they somehow still deliver healthy babies. So that reasoning really doesn't add up. So, one of the best ways to start breaking free from your guilt is to revisit the facts of your loss. This is something I love to do with my clients because I can see instant relief when we start revisiting what actually are the facts of your loss. What really could you have done differently? What would have been the whole thing that might have saved your baby? And I can say with 100% certainty that none of my clients have disputed when we start picking apart the facts. None of my clients can actually say, "You're right. Yes, it's still, I 100% believe it was my fault." We can usually get to the place where the facts wouldn't have changed anything. So when we're stuck in the guilt cycle, we focus on the what ifs and the worst case scenarios. But I want you to take a step back and look at your situation with some fresh eyes. Ask yourself, what really happened? What do I know for sure versus what I'm assuming happened? This is a big one. Is the things that you know for sure versus what you are making them up to be are really different. For me, I had to remind myself that just being shocked by the news of twins didn't cause their stillbirth. Of course, I was shocked. Of course, I was scared. Of course, I had all kinds of emotions about it, but there were medical reasons that I had no idea about that I couldn't have prevented. And when I looked at the facts, I began to understand that the guilt I was carrying, it didn't align with what really happened. So try this. Write down everything you know about your loss. Stick to the facts. Then as you read over it, see if there are any places where you've been placing blame on yourself that didn't belong there. And this can be a really powerful exercise in releasing that guilt. Number one, I always think anytime you can get things down on paper, that is such a healing thing. I had a coach one time who called it paper therapy, and I thought that was so genius because we sometimes write down things that we wouldn't dare to say out loud. I mean, social media has taught us that, right? People write all kinds of things that they might not say to your face, but we write down things that we don't feel like we can say out loud or say to anyone, and we can write them on paper. And then look at that. Look at the facts of the situation. Is this true? And are you beating yourself up about things that you had no control over? So once you've revisited the facts and started to challenge those thoughts, the next step is to actively release the guilt. One way I found to do this is by physically letting it go. You know, that piece of paper that you wrote down all of the things that you're feeling guilty or that you think you could have done to cause this. Maybe it's something you said or how you felt. Don't hold back. Write it all out there. And then take that paper and either crumple it up or throw it away, or even better, if it's possible, light a match. It's just a symbolic act of just letting it go. Get rid of those thoughts. They don't belong there. They're not going to change the outcome. I know as lost moms, stillbirth moms, a lot of what we do is wake up and think, okay, how can I just like, I want to just rewind. Can I just rewind? And you can't. So this is part of the processing it to get to a place of acceptance and reality, dealing with reality. But you don't have to let those kind of thoughts control you anymore. So get rid of them, throw them away, burn them, whatever you have to do. And another important part of releasing this guilt is to talk it out. This could be your partner or a close friend or even a therapist. For me, opening up to my husband about my feelings of guilt helped me see things differently, although on a whole other topic, there were differences there because he was grieving in a whole different way than I was. But sometimes just saying the words out loud to someone can make you realize how irrational those thoughts are. Have you ever done it with anything else that you were just so convicted that you were right or that it should be this way, and then when you said it out loud, you were like, "Well, that sounds crazy now that I say it like that." So sometimes just saying things out loud and hearing someone you trust tell you it's not your fault can be really, really healing. I also want to encourage you to talk to your doctor about it. This is another place you can get some information. And chances are they are more than happy to reassure you that it was not your fault, that you could not have done anything differently than what you did, and that you did the best you could for your baby. And just they can also be such a great source. If you trust your doctor, they can be an amazing source of helping you relieve this guilt too, because they have that medical perspective of it. Unfortunately, part of their job is to witness loss, and they can let you know that you did everything you could and that none of this was your fault. So I just want you to think about this as you're going forward is to be gentle with yourself. Guilt is really common, especially with stillbirth moms, and it's okay to feel it. It serves a purpose, but it's more important to release it. The purpose that it serves is for you to examine it, feel it, and then know without a doubt that this is not your fault. You are not to blame for your baby's death, and you deserve to find peace. If you're ready to take the next step in your healing journey, I'm here to help. I offer free support sessions where we can talk through your feelings and help you release that guilt and start finding that hope again. I've walked through this. I've helped so many other people through this. I know how hard it is, and I know how hard guilt specifically is. And it can leak out into so many areas of your life if you don't resolve it. But I also know that healing is possible, and you don't have to do this alone. Thank you so much for being here with me today. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with someone who might need it and to hear these words. And remember, you deserve peace. You deserve peace. You deserve happiness again. It sometimes doesn't feel like it's ever possible, but it is. And your baby would want that for you. So until next time, I'm sending you so much love.